Kazakhstan International Vectors program informs you about international relations, political opinions, economic solutions and social development. When the well is dry, we know the worth of water. Benjamin Franklin, American scientist and politician. After 25 years, every third person on the planet will suffer from water shortage. Up to 80% of the diseases in the world occur due to water contamination. The Central Asian states are seeking for common ground to maintain water supplies. According to the UN data, over the past century the growth of water consumption has exceeded the rate of population growth by more than 2 times. The production is developing, hence increases the proportionality and the amount of fresh water consumed. On the average in the world, for the needs of mankind from the natural environment, 499 cubic meters of water per capita are being seized annually. Fresh water accounts for only 3% of the world's water supplies. These reserves amount to about 35 million cubic kilometers, and only 0.3% of all water stocks fit for drinking. This is slightly more than 0.1 million cubic kilometers. Today, every 6th inhabitant of the Earth feels the lack of drinking water. Scientists predict that by 2050, every 3rd person will somehow feel the water shortage. Deficit will occur in more than 50 countries. The major part of drinking water, about 69%, is in glaciers. About 30% lies in hard underground sources, and these are strategically important water reserves of the world. At the same time, it is no secret that climate changes lead to the melting of glaciers. If we have enough active warming, then surely we will not have enough storage of glaciers. Even now it is said that the glaciers are melting quickly in all mountainous areas. And accordingly, in all upstream countries, such as Tajikistan or Kyrgyzstan, the rivers are being formed mainly due to glacial runoff in the summer. That is, as a result of global warming, water reserves in the world will rapidly diminish. The main concern of humankind is to decide together on how to continue to live and work in the conditions of the shortage of drinking water. One of the main principles of the solution of this problem is to save water, and it should be started right now. The person understands that if he or she is closing the water tap today, tomorrow he or she will pay less money, and this is the most effective stimulus for the adult population. For children, of course, as you know, the children very quickly adopt something new, and if there is some sort of such a common policy and regulations at schools to close the tap there, take care of water resources and so on, and the cartoons will show this with some entertaining things, and advertising on this topic will be shown, that would significantly help. Fresh water sources are not always difficult to access. Very often in the developing countries, there is simply no infrastructure required for water intake. At this, fresh water reserves in the country can be enough, but water intake and water pipes may be outdated. Accidents and leaks of water also lead to an increase in water deficit. We have the infrastructure which has existed since the past century, so usually it is quite outdated, meaning somewhere it is broken, etc. And the reconstruction is necessary in order to make this infrastructure work properly. The less water resources will be, the more carefully we should treat them. Similarly, the greater the use of resources, the more carefully we should treat them. Fresh water pollution from the industrial emissions, chemical runoffs from the fields, penetration of salty water into fresh water, all that is another reason for the reduction of drinking water supplies in the world. Annually into the seas, oceans and rivers of the world are getting up to 12 million tons of oil. Chemical fertilizers, pharmaceuticals and even hormones are also draining to the water. In the regions where the water has to be kept in homes, microorganisms are developing rapidly, so that it becomes dangerous to consume such water. According to WHO statistics, 80% of the diseases in the world are caused by the poor quality of drinking water. The reserves of drinking water across the planet are distributed unevenly. The situation with water resources in Central Asia is not easy. 70% of the territory is desert, semi-desert and dry steppe. The lack of water is almost everywhere except the mountain areas. Problems exist in all Central Asian countries. The main thing right now is the use of water resources and their deficiency. Agriculture is developing rapidly and uses more water. The energy sector also takes more resources. Nevertheless, all the Central Asian countries are seeking to address these issues in cooperation and are trying to achieve the results in order we would see our region as a sustainable one and with the proper use of water resources. Kazakh, the regional environmental center for Central Asia, is addressing the issue of water resources in the region since 2007. The organization implements a program to support water initiatives. The four main activities of our program are, at first, the establishment of cross-border international cooperation in the field of water management. The second is the work upon water quality in Central Asia, namely with the emphasis on cooperation in the field of water quality. The third direction and a big trend is to increase our capacity and education for water professionals. The fourth line is networking with various organizations. Kazakh aims to become a center of knowledge, including the knowledge about water management and basin planning. It is almost more fresh water atomized in the atmosphere in the gaseous form than the reserves of fresh water on Earth. At the same time, in some parts of Africa, the nearest source of drinking water is 6 hours away. This problem, according to the developers, addresses the construction called Waka Water, which any villagers will be able to construct. The tower of about 10 meters in height resembles a vase. Hard outer part consists of a light and elastic stems of a plant, intertwined in such a way that the building is able to survive under the pressure of strong winds, and at the same time will pass it through. Inside the construction, a grid of nylon or polypropylene is placed, resembling a large Chinese lantern in shape. On the grid, dew droplets are being gathered that roll into the container at the base of the tower. Then the water is fed into the pipe and the thirsty African should only open the tap. The construction costs about $500 and is able to collect up to 100 liters of water per day. To buy or to make fresh water from the sea one, the choice of countries with arid climate. The Central Asian region is among the leaders of the world's water consumption. Today, the problem of providing the population with fresh water and its production is actually a national security problem. In fact, often the environmental issues cause problems of social and political nature. Across the globe, the water is distributed unevenly. There are regions with a high level of water resources security: Canada and the northwest of the United States, Southeast Asia, North Brazil, Scandinavia and Central Africa. In top 5 countries, leaders in the freshwater reserves are Brazil, Russia, Canada, China and Indonesia. The water shortage is constantly felt in North Africa, the Middle East and Southern Europe. European countries are trying to tackle the problem jointly. The highest water consumption rate in comparison with its own renewable water resources is in Kuwait, the United Arab Emirates, Libya, Qatar and in Saudi Arabia. Countries of the Arabian Peninsula are not only importing water, they are actively implementing the desalination system. For example, Saudi Arabia desalinates more than 1,000 million cubic meters per year. In the same way, Israel is developing. Half of all fresh water used in the country today is desalinated seawater. Everybody knows the example of Israel, which is located in the desert and which produces a lot of agricultural products due to the growing technology with a minimal of water. There the water saving is being put in the mind of every person. In the next 5 years, the Persian Gulf countries plan to invest in the maintenance of its population of fresh water resources of about $100 billion. Moreover, countries have agreed to build a pipeline worth of $10.5 billion with a length of almost 2,000 kilometers, which will connect the Gulf countries. The project also includes the construction of 2 desalination plants in Oman in order to produce 500 million cubic meters of water, in order to supply the regions experiencing the need for desalinated water. The water resources in Central Asia are distributed unevenly. Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan are the countries with sufficient water resources, while Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan and Uzbekistan are resource-poor countries. In the mountainous areas of Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan, the water runoff is being formed from the glaciers. At the same time, due to the arid climate, the Central Asian region consumes a lot of fresh water. According to the data of 2011, Turkmenistan is the leader of the water consumption in the world. Kazakhstan consumes more than 2 million cubic meters per year, Uzbekistan almost 3 million cubic meters, Kyrgyzstan 1,989 cubic meters per year, and Tajikistan 1,895 cubic meters per year. Over 1/3 of the water needed for irrigation in Central Asia is provided by cross-border rivers, the rivers flowing through several states. Such water must be managed jointly by the countries. But today, the agreements left over from the Soviet Union period are not working or are broken at all. As a result, people who live and work in the basins of these rivers suffer. Our aim is to promote cooperation on small transboundary rivers. On the one hand, it is necessary to take into account national interests. On the other hand, there are those parts that lead to cooperation between the two countries. And we have been working successfully for the past 4 years on small transboundary rivers, such as Aspara, Isfara and Ugam. This year, Karek begins a major regional project covering another 8 small transboundary rivers. The main activity of the organization is to establish a dialogue between residents, public organizations and governmental agencies at the level of river basins. If looking at the employees of the Regional Environmental Center, it can be seen that 70 to 80% are the young people. Plus we have a competition of student works, a masterwork that students carry out. Their master's thesis is not just sitting in the library reading books, but namely leaving the territory, working with the local community, with local authorities. And we give such an opportunity. Anna is just from the number of such young leaders. She has come to the environmental organization while studying at the 2nd year at the university in 2008. She studied marketing, but Karek changed her life. Today, Anna is already a certified specialist in water resources management. Anna decided to stay in the organization when she saw what outcomes gives her work. 5 years ago, she has participated in the project on reconstruction of water supply systems in rural areas. And we came to one village and started to work with the local population. We have told what we do, what goal we have, that we needed their support and so on. And I saw a picture which with the city dwellers actually it is probably difficult to understand, well, at least for myself, and I saw a woman who sits and cries of joy from the fact that her house gets water and she will spend more time with her children and can buy a washing machine. Well, that is what the basic things that we do not pay attention to because we have it, as it were, and we take it for granted. Today, Anna takes part in the writing and implementation of major projects, including the organization of planning in transboundary river basins. Another important project is called Smart Waters. This project Karek is implementing with the support of the US Agency for International Development. It has been launched in October 2015 and will be completed in the fall of 2020. We expect a very large interaction between students, between teachers of high schools that prepare our future professionals, the future water managers. In particular, we are closely cooperating with the Kazakh German University. We have an entire support program. Under this project, Karek for the first time goes beyond the 5 Central Asian states. The program also involves Afghanistan, as the issues related to water resources are important for the entire region.